still late afternoon, over some developments that have been happening in Nigeria concerning me. A lot of people have been reaching out to me since morning regarding the news circulating that a federal high court judge in Abuja revoked a bail that was granted and asked that I be declared wanted, arrested, hunted down, whichever way you want to put it. I will be put in prison pending the hearing of a case that the judge has been battling with since last year. This is a criminal, and which I have never recanted. As soon as that speech was made, they came after me, but they have been after me for a long time before then, as you all are aware. In 2005, I was arrested 5 different times by the Inspector General of Police at that time, who was Tinubu right-hand man, Kayode Egbetokun, who is now retired or kicked out of office. And so on several occasions, he accused me of all kinds of cybercrime offenses and tried to put me in prison. In fact, on one occasion, he got me arrested and put in prison for 4 days at Kuje prison because I participated in a protest asking for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. And ever since then, they've been looking for ways to put me away. Initially, their plan was to even ensure that our party, the African National Congress, did not have a primaries with my presence. So they'll be using this judge, Justice M.G. Umar, to intensify that effort. And I've resisted them all along, and I continue to resist them. And I just want to ask Nigerians not to be worried about me. Don't cry for me. And nothing is new here. Nothing is new concerning me, and nothing is new concerning people in this position that I occupy today. And I consider it a privilege that we are a people desirous of freedom and that deserve freedom, and that we should not be governed by this kind of people. I'm very serious about it. That I've never missed word about it, that these are the wrong calibers of people to govern a country, because they don't have their priorities right, they don't have moral compass, they have no competence, they have no ideas, they have no ideals. And if that is the case, some people must stand up to them. And like I said, I'm happy that I'm in a position to stand up against the Bola Tinubu regime. I'm happy that I stood up against Babangida. I'm glad I stood up against Abacha. I stood up against Shoneko. I stood up against Abdul Salami. I stood up against Obasanjo. I stood up against Yaradua, even though his tenure was short. I stood up against Jonathan. I stood up against Buhari solidly. And I'm standing up against Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is Nigeria's so-called current president. These people are the most nonsensical human beings any nation could have. In no nation, and I mean it, no nation, even if it is the last time you hear from me, put it on record, no nation should have this kind of people govern them. You know, these people are the dregs that any society should never tolerate. And whenever you have people like this at the top, everything will be rotten to the bottom. Now, to the reason they declared me wanted, they have been fighting very strongly to put me in prison, and I've been fighting them in court, and I appear in court every day, even though it is mostly inconvenient. I was supposed to have returned to the US January of 2025. They arrested me, claiming that I filmed some policemen collecting bribe on the way to the airport. They arrested me because I said Egbetokun does not deserve to continue to be Inspector General of Police. They arrested me because I led a protest to help policemen get better pension, gratuity, and better condition of service. They arrested me because I accompanied a copper, right, to go out there and defend herself, which led to youth corpers today receiving 77,000 naira as allowances per month. They arrested me for speaking up. They arrested me for everything. They arrested me for even publications that are out there on Sahara Reporters. They arrest me for things I say on Facebook. They arrest me for things I say on Twitter. They arrest me for things I say on Instagram. They arrest me for posts I make everywhere. They arrest me for going to rallies. They arrest me for standing up and marching peacefully. A few days ago, they shot at me at close range. The tear gas almost took my life. So this Justice M.G. Umar was a person that was their last. Before him, there was a Justice Liman, who was the one who seized my passport as a condition for bail and held the passport for a year, so that I will not be able to travel to return to the US since 2025 January. I eventually got that passport back, I think this year. So when this case came up, I showed up, and the DSS wrote to me that I should pull down my posts. They wrote to Twitter, they wrote to Facebook. Facebook eventually connived with them. Twitter was indifferent, but they didn't take down my posts. I don't know if Facebook has taken down my posts, but Facebook sided with the Nigerian government against me. So I kept fighting. And when it got to a point where we realized that this judge wasn't doing justice, it's not as if there's anyone that does, but some of them at least will pretend. This one wasn't pretending. I decided that we'll ask the judge to recuse himself because he was complaining that the only witness the DSS presented, one Osike, that were interrogating him and cross-examining him too much, and that was Paula. And we said, my lord, how's that your business? So this is a judge who then asked my lawyer, Marshal Abubakar, to come and kneel down in front of him. This Justice M.G. Umar. So after he did that, we decided that we'll file for a no-case submission. We filed, he dismissed it. And we then told him that going by your demeanor, your attitude, and how you have conducted yourself in this case, you are not supposed to be hearing this case anymore. We wrote to the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court. He said no, they should continue. So my lawyers decided to abandon the case. They said they are no longer respected and they don't feel safe and they don't believe that this man can ever do justice in this case. We're talking about Justice M.G. Umar. And Justice M.G. Umar, I stood up in front of him the last hearing and told him, I move a motion that Justice, we have asked you to recuse yourself. Please leave. He said, that's fine. He will rule on it yesterday. Yesterday we went to court. They had moved this court elsewhere. Something happened. It was a temporary judge who was standing in for Justice Ekwo, who was suspended for 6 months or so for corruption. So that one is back. So they moved this court elsewhere to the third floor. They didn't even send us a notice of hearing telling us where we looked for the court, found the court. And when we got there, waited from 8:20 a.m. This judge did not show up. At about 12 noon, he sends his registrar to come and tell us that he's not sitting, he's too tired, he's confused, all kinds of excuses, because he's been moved to a new court. So we decided that we're going to let him know that he should give us a new date. We told the registrar that I don't have a lawyer. I'm going to Lagos to look for a new lawyer. Luckily enough, I found a new lawyer who wanted to meet. So we applied to him officially and filed for a new date. Because one of the things he's been doing is to make sure that he doesn't give us long adjournment. And we're fine with it. But we have a right to prepare to defend myself. So they saw the application and still went ahead and sat today, knowing that I was not in town because I had already left. He even admitted in his open court that I applied for a new date, but that he cannot give a new date because I didn't show up. How will I show up when I already applied for a new date? The last time we appeared before him, we told him to give us a date in July. He refused. Now, upon revoking my bail, he now gave a date in July 27. The idea is that if I get arrested or detained, I will now be in prison until July 27 to hear my case. And within that period, the party that nominated me as a presidential candidate will not be able to upload my name, because I'm one of the people who have to upload my name on the INEC portal. That's a strategy, just a simple, poor, outdated strategy of exclusion. They want to put me away, and they're using the boy at the DSS, Tosin Ajayi, who is a lapdog now. And I've told that one several times, because he has sent people to me that we should be friends. I said, I don't want to be your friend. Tosin, you're hearing me? I don't want to be your friend. I know your history. You started in the University of Benin masquerading as a student before you became the DSS director. But you're not going to be the first DSS director. Every DSS director that came before you that did evil visited them. The one that now became the ambassador to the US, Kayode, he was a henchman to Obasanjo. There was a time they threw out his properties on the street. He called me to help him report it, that they have thrown him out of his house. I think Tinubu is now doing, rehabilitation for him. I'm not wishing you evil, but if you do evil to the people of Nigeria because you have a position as a TSS director, evil will visit you. The one before you, Bichi, who I call son of a bitch, to his face when I was detained for 5 months. I told him that his life will end in misery. You know how much his son stole from him because you were helping his son to recover the money. I'm asking you to Ajayi or DSS. It's a temporary position. One of these days you will find yourself out of that place. But for betraying your country and the citizenry for a pot of porridge, for loyalty to a drug lord, you are going to suffer the consequences. No question about it. Even if I die, you will still suffer the consequences, and wherever you hide, you will be found. That much I can tell you. It's not a threat. It's a statement of historical fact. I'm referring to the DSS DG who was asked to initiate this, and the people who are asking you to do it will abandon you. You saw my encounter with El Rufai at the Federal High Court. You saw my encounter with Malami at the Federal High Court. It's the same thing. I remind them, we have been around for a long time, Tosin. I was a student at the University of Lagos. All the registrar, VC that expelled me, they are nowhere to be found today. That's the truth. So do whatever it is that you can do while you think you have power. But the consequences are coming. And it's not going to be too far. It is before that some of these consequences come too far. The consequences that was to happen to the people that killed Delegiwa, they thought it won't happen. Babangida is suffering. Akilu is suffering. All the people that did it are suffering. Everybody that betrayed their own people because they think they have power, they have suffered and they will suffer it. And I'm not doing it out of any worry or angst. I'm just reminding you, and I'm reminding the Nigerian people now that this has happened before, and more of this will happen again. But most importantly, we must understand that these people can be defeated, and we must work to defeat them. And we have an opportunity now to bond together and defeat them. They might distract you. They might sell all kinds of snake oil to you. They might try to make you feel like they're in control. They are not in control. It is you, the people of Nigeria, that is in control and that should be in control. I'm not going to be the first person to oppose or confront oppression. And this is not the first time I will do it. And I don't know for how long it will work. But one thing I'm certain about is that, and this is this, there's no oppression or repression that's ever defeated a just cause. And this is a just cause. It's a just cause to not allow people like Tinubu to continue as a leader or the president of a country of 200 million people called Nigeria. It's not right in the first place to have allowed people with criminal records, people who have sold drugs, killed people, assassinated, opponents, destroyed businesses, destroyed families, to lead countries. Because the moment you do that, the country starts to collapse from that day. And this is a warning that's been given to you, the people of Nigeria, and the citizens of that place and humanity, that they mean nothing good for you. You see what they are doing to the country. You see how nobody's safe except themselves and their families. And that's why I can stand up here, no matter how long it takes. Look, they can arrest me tomorrow and take me back to prison on the 27th until the end of the election. It will not change, it will not delay their day of judgment. And that's what I'm here to tell you, that please, if you have heard the news, don't worry. If you have not heard, now you've heard. But as a people and as compatriots, we must stand together and fight these people. And I'm here to fight and fight until we win. That's been my position. So that's what I wanted to reach out to you guys for, and just let you know that I'm standing very strong, and to also reach out to a lot of people who have reached out to me all day long to say, what's this again? Yes, it is what it is, but it's nothing new, and it's not